Welcome to another chilling episode of Hollyweird Paranormal Podcast, all you spooky spirits and Hollyweirdos. This week we're thrilled to have a very special guest who puts the glam in the ghoulish, the one and only Bellalu Ghostly, known as the spooky Spinster. With a heart for hauntings and horror and a passion for the paranormal and even your screams, Bellalu Ghostly enchants her audience with her unique blend of wit, charm, and ghostly glamour. We'll dive into her haunted world, explore her favorite horror films, and learn how she celebrates the spooky side of life with style. So you already know the drill. You want to grab that salt, sprinkle that circle around, or hug that salt lamp tightly, or do both. Even grab your selenite, maybe that sage, light a candle. And if you're a future horror drag baby, grab that wig and that black lipstick, because you know what we're going to do. We are going to have a very spirited yet ghoulish conversation with the one and the only Bellalu Ghostly. So please, let's get Hollyweird with the glamorous, the ghoulish Bellalu Ghostly. Hey friends, before we dive into this delicious episode, I have another terrifying yet delicious treat for you. Our friends over there at the Mystic Museum just opened up another slice of horror life for you. If you have a horror sweet tooth or a craving, then you definitely want to stop by the new Horror Bodega. Yeah, Horror Bodega. Get it? Bodega. It's going to be off of West Magnolia Boulevard in Burbank, California. Guys, if you're not familiar with this row, it's not only known as Vintage Row, but it's also known as Halloween and Horror Row, because you have Halloween Town 1 and 2, where it sells all the amazing gifts and decor for your home and Halloween costumes. And then down the street, you have Camp Horror and the Mystic Museum and the special makeup effects store, along with Blast from the Past. It goes on and more. And it just seems like the Mystic Museum folks are just nonstop with giving us horror, right? So we can actually not only breathe and sleep it, but we can also eat it. So they're going to have some delicious sweets, chips, snacks, and drinks, all horror themed and sold in this little bodega. All right, let me tell you what they have here. They have Friday the 13th mints, slasher candies, DNA sodas, not real DNA, but you know what I mean. They have those vampire like blood bag drinks. Like it's so cool, and it's going to be creeplicious. I don't know if that's a word, but I just made it up, so yeah, we're gonna go with that. Yeah, so it's going to be the Horror Bodega, which opens its doors November the 23rd, 2024, off of 3116 West Magnolia Boulevard. So moving forward, we already talked about this time and time and again, but what are you doing next summer? Primarily somewhere in the Midwest. We know there's a lot of you guys out there in the Midwest that love spooky shit and weird stuff. And if you're weird like we are and want to meet more weird people, you can. On June 12th through the 14th, you're going to be able to do that. The Windy City Paranormal Festival is going to have their first annual paranormal conference in the Windy City. Yes, that's Chicago, Illinois. I don't know why I said that. My aunt used to call it Chicago, and she made a song about it. I'll sing it later. Maybe not. Okay, so this is not your average paranormal conference. It's a social event focused on celebration for anyone and everyone intrigued by the strange and unexplained, from spirits and cryptids to UFOs, psychic phenomenon, hauntings, and all things wonderfully weird. This is your place. This is your jam. For 3 days in the heart of Chicago's magical summer, you'll dive deep into a thrilling lineup, spine-tingling storytelling, live podcasts, like ourselves, Hollyweird Paranormal Podcast, along with Quite Unusual Podcasts, and our friends over at the What's Up Weirdo Podcast. Shout out to Toe, Jessica, and John E.L. Tenney. But can we talk about the cocktail parties, the sultry burlesque shows, paranormal investigations, gallery readings, and fan favorite paranormal Pictionary mystery host soon to be unveiled, but we know who it is. Plus, enjoy a spooky art show, take a haunting cemetery tour, and shop unique vendors. And then get this. There is a haunted 80s prom. If you love 80s, things that are haunted and dead, along with prom, or if you miss prom in high school, you can relive it with the undead, right? Hosted by your beloved prom queens, Nicole and Noelle from the Quite Unusual Podcast. They hosted one back in October. It was amazing, and they're going to host another one. They know how to throw a party. Plus, they look so fracking cute in their costumes. So, please go and follow Windy City Parafest on Instagram. And if you're really interested in learning more about this event and about buying tickets, the types of vendors and the types of people that are going to be there who are weirdos like yourself, then you want to head on over to windycityparafest.com. Also, here's another thing, guys. We love your support. We love every one of you spooky little boo bears out there. We love the weird. We love bringing out the Holly weird. So if you love the show and you have a couple of seconds, please head on over to Apple Podcasts, drop us a nice 5-star rating, and possibly type a little review. It helps us indie podcasters become a little more visible in a sea of all these podcasts that are amazing. Now, if you also have an additional minute or two, you can head on over to our Patreon, which is patreon.com/Hollyweird Paranormal. And there you can actually help support the podcast and keep this Hollyweird train moving for just as little as $1 or more per month. You can support the podcast for however many months you wish to. And you have some perks. So you get to tune into our Saturday Night Ghost Club secret podcast society, where we share ghost stories from people that live next door to us, acquaintances, workers, friends, you name it. Everybody has a ghost story, and we wrapped it up in this nice little spooky podcast for you. You'll also tune into some videos, other investigations, and interviews that we've conducted, and it will definitely help with that Hollyweird fix. You can also travel to our website, hollyweirdparanormal.com, where you can catch up with past episodes and seasons, shop our merch store, read our bios, and stalk us a little more. And if you have a little more time on your hands, then you can follow us on our socials at Hollyweird Paranormal on Instagram and Facebook, of course. And we're also on X under at HWP Podcast and Threads at Hollyweird Paranormal. All right, I'm so excited for this interview. Now let's get Hollyweird. Hello, you Holly weirdos. I have such a delicious guest that I have to introduce all of you. You have to follow her. Conjure her up anywhere you go, and she might appear. You may have seen her on TikTok, or she may have been haunting your screens via Instagram and Facebook. Would we give a warm screaming welcome to Bellalu Ghostly?
Hello, my darlings. It's me, Bellalu Ghostly, your favorite spooky spinster. I am so proud here to be on the Hollyweird Podcast. It's going to be marvelous.
Oh my God, Bella, thank you so much for appearing on the podcast. We're all so excited to have you. First and foremost, tell us where you're from, where you've been, and what have you been conjuring up lately?
Well, I was born in a swamp next to a truck stop on the side of a highway, surprisingly, and from humble roots beget this gorgeous school that you see before you. But no, seriously, I'm a farm boy from Appalachian, Maryland, if you can believe it or not, and yet still ended up in a giant beehive of a wig. It's quite wondrous.
Absolutely love it. Do you live in a haunted house, Bella? Or tell us about how does Bella get ready for her day?
Well, it's debatable whether or not my house is haunted, as it is over 100 years old, and there has been some spooky shenanigans that happen, like with or without and everything, but no apparitions. Nothing, concrete to make me go, oh, what was that? But, the creasing and the cracking and I live in Silver Lake in Los Angeles, and it's quite noisy outside. So if you hear someone calling your name, 9 times out of 10, it's just somebody at the dog park. You never know. But for my day, this hive does not just happen on its own. This is actually 2 full wigs and a fall. It is so heavy.
My God, that wig looks like it could conjure up many things, many spirits.
All my secrets.
Tell us, Bella, do you have a ghost story? Have you ever had a paranormal experience? Since you do live in a haunted old house.
Yes, I have been experiencing the paranormal for a very long time, and according to my psychotic succubus mother, there are sensitivities that run in our family. She used to see little spirits all the time, and just honestly, we can't take anything Debbie says it with a grain of salt, but it's fine. Myself, though, however, growing up in the Appalachians, we were on our way, the walking path to Gettysburg. So there's a lot of death history where I grew up. And there were always small little things that would happen. Doors would open and close. From time to time, we would hear a man go, oh. Just a random, non-sexual plutonic groan, it is what it is. Nothing significant. However, as an adult, I did have 2 experiences to discuss today. One of which I was in London on a rather marvelous vacation date with someone. They lived over there. I flew over there, walked into a room, and there was this bizarre picture that instantly caught my eye. It was of a handsome young man, and I said, well, who is that? The person told me this was their ex-lover who had died in a car crash just a few weeks before they were to actually move to London to live with this person. It was quite tragic and honestly a complete fucking buzzkill, if we're being honest. It totally killed the mood. Anyway, the person was like, and some say he still follows me to this day. And I'm like, all the red flags, just all at once, waving in unison. It was disgusting. So that night, we went to bed. I'm a very light sleeper. I was awakened by its pressure going back and forth on the sides of my feet, almost as if there were tiny hands going back and forth. And at first I was like, oh, maybe it's a cat. You wake up in places you don't exactly remember all the details about a stranger's house. It is what it is. But looking down, there was nothing there. And it continued. And I sat to myself and I thought, Bella, there are 2 options. Fight or flight. And as you are in a strange country, maybe you should make peace with whatever's happening there. So I sat straight up in the bed, and old what's-his-face was sound asleep and snoring, completely useless in this haunting situation. I sat up and I looked at the ghost person's picture, and I said, Jamie, because that was his name. This was over 20 years ago, and I remember the name of a dead person in a photo that I never... This is how much it glue-trapped to my brain. So, Jamie, this is not it for me. This is not serious. I am not invading on your turf. You can have him. Good luck. And I went back to bed. And that was it. And the remainder of the trip, there were no hauntings. I told the person about it the next day, and he goes, oh, well, Jamie does haunt me. And I was like, this is a lot to take in for someone. Needless to say, the relationship went nowhere. And I never returned to the home after that day. But that was quite a terrifying and harrowing experience.
Was Jamie cute? That's the only thing I'm
very good looking.
Oh my God.
Yes, very good looking. Could have been like, if you are of a certain age, you will remember XY magazine, which was kind of like the twink magazine back in the day when publications were still a thing. And those younger viewers might not remember such things as magazines. But he was gorgeous and wonderful. R.I.P. Hope wherever you are, you're bothering someone else's feet in the middle of the night. That's how you choose your representation.
So he was a really cute ghost who had a foot fetish.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I didn't see him. It was just pittity-patity back and forth. It was, it was terrifying, but also like he wasn't there. Knowing me, I might have invited him for a little menage a trois.
That is how you summon a partner or a one-night stand, I guess.
Exactly. Like, oh, what was that book and movie with Barbara Hershey? Was it The Entity?
The entity.
That, exactly. I keep wanting to go to the house that happened in. You know that is right in Culver City.
That is indeed. That's one of the most famous cases here in California, around the LA area for that matter. But yeah, that was very heavily documented. Dr. Barry Taft of the UCLA parapsychology program, may it rest in peace, was a part of that and documented a lot of those strange going-ons. So it was a crazy, crazy case.
As if living in Culver City weren't crazy enough on its own.
Imagine living in Culver City in the 80s. How was that?
Demented.
Because back in the 80s, that was not a place you wanted to live in.
I always do want to stop by and take a photo or something, but in those instances, what exactly does that look like? Some grown, languorous man standing outside of your house taking a photo. Although when my sister visits, we go and visit the haunted and macabre places, and we definitely brought my Black Dahlia living dead dolls to the place where they found Elizabeth Schultz's body and did a whole little cute photo shoot.
Only you would do it. Only you.
It's so wondrous to have a ghoulish sibling to go do these things with. I would like to think that I terrified her into loving the dark arts myself.
Guess that's one way of pulling someone into the dark side. There you go.
I used to have a Chucky doll that I would hide throughout our house, put it in her closet and put it in her drawer so that it would pop out as soon as she opened anything. It was spectacular.
One definitely entertains themselves with horror and terror.
Eventually, Chucky met the pyre of a barnyard fire, and it was quite a sad day for me.
My God. So we got Ghosts with Foot Fetishes, you hiding Chucky dolls that ended up in a fire. I mean, this is going very, very well for all of it.
This is life. It ain't easy. It gets so tough. Life.
R.I.P. Chucky doll. What other haunted places have you visited here in Los Angeles?
So many. You know, a client was having their birthday party at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel, which is home to that Marilyn Monroe mirror. I tried my best to get that mirror put back up inside. What's that circus club that's in there? You know what I'm talking about. I can't remember what it's... Some Beach's Madhouse, that's what it was. The client was having her birthday party at Beach's Madhouse, and I was like, oh, special request, give us the haunted mirror. And they were like, no.
That was an immediate no.
I digress. You know, my second date with my husband, we went to the Museum of Death, and then he had a hearse waiting for us outside on Hollywood Boulevard to go on the Ever After tour, the one that used to have they don't do it anymore, I don't believe. But it was quite wonderful. We drove throughout. We went up to the Manson murder house and all throughout Los Angeles. And somehow we ended up at the bathroom where George Michael was arrested for solicitation. He must have seen the limp wrist.
That is our friend, Adam of Graveline Tours. You took.
I love that. Next time you talk to him, ask if he remembers the 2 6'5" homosexuals that sat in the front seat.
Well, we'll definitely take a tour together because those tours of Graveline are legit and they're very creepy and they're so in depth. And you get out, you go outside, you stop at these places, and sometimes you're able to walk around.
Yeah. And all of the people, it was like a Saturday night or something like that, driving along Hollywood Boulevard, and all of the super basic bitches, the ones going to the awful clubs, came out in their 6-inch high stilettos, wobbling and wobbling up to the car. I mean, surely they all ended up drunkenly sobbing into their phone on the side of a gutter by the end of the night, but for the 30 seconds we spent together, it was spectacularly spooky.
Oh, it sounds like such a divine night, indeed. What other places have you visited that left you quite speechless, kind of scared? Were there any places here in LA that you stepped in and you're like, nope, we're gonna leave right now?
You know, I do not scare easily. I quite enjoy the feeling of being scared. When I first moved here, we ended up at one of the hospitals that's used for all of these psycho movies, the lower budget psycho movies in Los Angeles. So that was kind of cool. Everyone was like, this is the original Nightmare on Elm Street boiler room. And there was no signal for me to check. So I'm just stealing knickknacks and doodads and everything I can off the floor, just piling it into this big bag of junk, only to get home and Google it to realize none of the Nightmare on Elm Streets were filmed in that location whatsoever, and I didn't recognize any of the films. Big bag of junk.
That was the horror, having to carry back all this junk, only to find out that it was never used for these films.
No, it was quite awful. I'm the type of person, when I travel, I like to find all of the spooky activities there are to do. When I was in Edinburgh for the Fringe Festival in Scotland, I went to the underground city. Then a girlfriend of mine, there's some super haunted graveyard over there that even the locals are for fear of. We decided we had to go there, and this was before the time that cell phones had lights on them. Pitch black, blacked out, wandering through a graveyard, looking for ghosts, nothing but a camera light to flash, hoping we catch something. We caught nothing but a cold. Oh, no. It was horrendous. But I've also been to the Paris catacombs. On my honeymoon, we did the Jack the Ripper tour. My poor husband, I drag him to so much nonsense.
Mm-hmm. Same. They either fall asleep or they just eye roll. For me, I have a Capricorn husband who's just like, no, it takes a lot to prove that there's something else out there. I'm like, give it time.
Mine in particular, when we were first dating, our first year of dating, we were on tour with a musician. When we went through Maryland, I was hopping off the tour, but I decided that he needed to hang out with my family. So my sister and I took him ghost hunting in Gettysburg. Nice. It was absolutely fantastic. We went to TGI Fridays beforehand to get... Because, we're white trash like that. It is what it is, own your shit.
I mean, it is Pennsylvania, and yeah. TGI Fridays is like, what is it? The poor man's chili?
Broke. It's Walmart of food.
But they have some great chicken tenders and some mozzarella sticks, so you can't go wrong with that, right?
I did read, I believe they're filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
R.I.P.
Who do you think they'll haunt? Applebee's better watch their back.
I'm always haunted by Bennigan's. Remember Bennigan's back in the day?
Food poisoning. Do you remember Chi-Chi's? Are you old enough for Chi-Chi?
Yes, I remember Chi-Chi's, yes. I think there's one that is lingering somewhere here in the valley. I believe it. I
bought my sister Chi-Chi's margarita glasses off eBay a few years ago for Christmas.
Please tell me you watched them.
Salmonella included.
Surprise, salmonella.
That was quite an interesting ordeal to hear about, being too young to understand what that was. And this is our beloved Chi-Chi's was gone, never to be heard from again.
I know. I would definitely summon Gigi's on like a spirit board just to have it come back with margarita or two.
Ouija Chi-Chi.
So we were on the topic, too, of Nightmare on Elm Street, and we were chatting before the interview about our favorite chapter of that franchise. Which was the
Dream Warriors with
absolutely
notes.
Hands down. Remember Dokken with that song? Dream Warriors.
Before my balls dropped, I could hit that note.
Gosh. Sorry. Oh, don't come a knocking without that Dokken, Bella. That is my favorite film out of all the franchises. But you have something from that film, right?
I do. I am in possession of the original Chest of Souls from Nightmare on Elm Street 3. It is signed by Robert Englund himself, stating, "You are all my children now. Freddy Krueger, Robert Englund, and the makeup artist signed and dated it on the back."
My God, that is treasure right there.
Truly, I have actually reached out to the Hollywood Museum for when the 30th anniversary of Dream Warriors happens. I would like to lend them this piece if they're doing something special. You know what I mean? Not just to have it. Although it would be very richy to say I have a piece in a museum.
Oh my God, but I'm so glad we connected on that because that movie, even though it scared the crap out of me, that was by far one of my favorites. And of course, you can't go wrong with Dawkins' like Dream Warrior song.
Yes. And Taryn, honestly, Taryn,
Yes.
she is my favorite character in all of horror. It's everything about her I relate to, from being a street kid to the drugs, to the trauma, to then transforming into that bitch when the time comes forward and defending your friends. She was everything we wanted it to be. Oh, Jennifer. Oh, I'm blanking. I'm so sorry. The edibles, they be kicking in. You know how they do.
Someone's getting haunted by edibles.
Yes, I actually got to meet her as well as Kincaid and also Debbie from Part 4 at a recent Nightmare on Elm Street event, and we all took a photo. It was quite a lovely fan experience. I do love the Nightmare on Elm Street fandom. It is delicious.
Yes, I love going to those horror conventions and meeting them in person. It's like, you know, that is like my dream. It's just to meet these people that you grew up watching in horror, and you know, they're just like you and I. That's what I love so much, and getting to embrace them and getting to hear like their stories from behind the scenes too.
Yeah.
I bet you were able to. Were you able to get any stories from them, or?
You know, it was more so about drinking and having a wondrous time. At least for me. You know, other people, they were asking lots of like just very like intense fan questions, and then I cut in. I'm like, "Is either of you my Uber driver?" No, I didn't actually say that, but I won't. You know, fun fact about knowing horror icons is that Virginia Madsen from Candyman is actually a longtime friend and client of mine. She is a sensational human being, and a few years ago, I don't know what anniversary it was for Candyman, but she and Tony Todd were doing an interview together for Entertainment Tonight, or one of the talking head shows, a dime a dozen. Anyway, Tony was there. They are never together, ever. They were sitting at her kitchen table, and I was like, Virginia, this is my birthday. You need to make this happen for me. I never ask for anything. Can you please make this happen? And she did, and it was marvelous, and I will treasure the...
What a gift. Oh, that's so... See, that makes me happy that they took the time to do that, you know, that they're not actual monsters in real life.
Yes, and also, I mean, we are sitting in her kitchen, and she's put in a corner, so, I mean, what are you going to say? No, I'm your makeup artist. You want a dirty brush coming in?
I love to play a game called, what is it? Okay. It's kind of based off of the game that we used to play when we were young, and probably still today too. It's, oh my God, I'm blanking too. Maybe too much edibles for me as well. F, Marry, Kill.
Yeah.
So in the horror like version that I like to create, it would be F, Marry, Thrill. So if you were to pick any of the horror icons from any movie, just any one of them, and put them in this game, who would it be? Who would you F, marry, and go on a killing spree with, or thrill?
Are you saying that my sex is not thrilling?
I need to know more about this thrilling sex life of yours. I need to know, what is your type?
Oh, take it from me, honey. Plastic is no substitute for a hunk of wood. I honestly would fuck them all. If you are familiar with my content, I do refer to myself as the horror whore. You know, I give it away. If we're being serious about it, though, probably Freddy Krueger. Just due to the psychic aspect of it, of being intimate, is that he would be able to meet any and all needs without actually me having to do anything at all. I could just lay there asleep. It would be marvelous.
There you go. You don't have to take Tylenol or melatonin or any Valium. You just have to fall asleep and he'll just come to you.
Exactly. I would say for a killing spree, the Puppet Master puppets.
Oh,
I love the Puppet Master series. I love Full Moon. I've actually written a few fan fiction Puppet Master films, which is so unlike me. If you know me at all, I am not that person. I don't even have a Reddit account. Anyway, but I would love it, and I would bring Leech Woman back from the dead, and me and my puppets, we would just terrorize everyone, especially orphanages.
Leech Woman. I remember that puppet. That one, my God, that out of all of them, she kind of freaked me out a little bit with the leeches, not gonna lie. Not gonna lie, but I would definitely love to go on a killing spree with them, technically, or thrilling spree, might I add.
And how about you, my darling? Who are your choices?
Ooh. Well, I like the tall, dark, silent type, so definitely Jason is someone that I would fuck, very much so. And then Mary is like a toss-up between, I would say, Freddy Krueger, and because he would definitely fight for me. He would definitely wreak havoc for me. I think all of them would, or Chucky. So one of those two is a toss-up. Chucky.
Love Chucky.
Right. Now the thrilling spree would have to be Predator. I could hop on his back, help with his little dreads, just play with his little dreads. But I think he would be, because I mean, that's his character. That's what they thrive on in the Predator movies. Like that, it was a game for them anyway. So that'd be really interesting to see him go into action doing that.
And the Gaucho have got some strong back muscles too.
Yeah,
they can get it done.
There is I think in the first one or the second, I think it's the second one where you pause it at a certain scene in the middle of the movie and you can see his cute little like butt right there. It's just like a tight rear end on the Predator. And I was like, whoa, put it on pause right there.
They be doing squats. I mean, how else do they fill their time in space?
I know. They flex a lot. They flex.
So now, given that you have an attraction to the sci-fi and you also love one Mr. Jason Voorhees, how did you feel about Jason X?
Like it was, I'm 50-50 with it. But the killing scenes were pretty impressive, especially with the frozen, what is it, nitrogen? That scene was pretty intense. But the funniest, I mean, they kind of get a little hokey too. They get a little too creative, especially when they do the virtual reality scene in him. The two girls camping, and they're just laughing and cracking up. I couldn't stop laughing at that scene for some reason. It's like they're coming on to him, and it was like, it's kind of hot in a way. But at the same time, like he was still going insane with these two girls.
Jason X is like if Ryan Murphy wrote a Jason movie. Oh, wondrous concepts just sloppily sewn together with the queerest thread you could possibly imagine.
No.
What was your favorite series on American Horror Story?
It has to be Coven, 100%. I'm originally from New Orleans, so I loved every moment of it. I was like, I knew every location they shot, and I just loved that series. And
I love New Orleans. At one point, my best friend was getting married, and we threw his bachelor party in New Orleans during Jazz Fest.
oh,
Quite lovely. Went out there, concerts, drinking. I was forced to go to a strip club where one of the strippers told me I looked bored, and I was like, do you not see the wrist? Anyway, trying, however, to get a group of fratastic heterosexual men to go on a little ghost walk, it was not going to happen. It was not in the cards for me.
oh my God, I love visiting my home city of New Orleans so much. And yeah, anytime you go there, you're gonna run into something. You're gonna come out with a story, definitely. But I too got married in New Orleans in October, and I think it was during I think it was Columbus Day weekend we got married, and we had the second line. And I tried to persuade my husband to stay in a haunted, I think it was a haunted, what was it? It was like a haunted cruise or something we were supposed to do that was supposed to be based out of there, but didn't.
Cruise?
Yes, it was supposed to be based out of the docks because there's tons of cruises that come in and out. And there was a haunted cruise at the time that was docking away from New Orleans. And I was trying to persuade him to go with me. So instead, we stayed in a haunted hotel called the Bourbon Orleans. That one was a delicious one to stay in.
Cruises are is not my thing. One time, I was doing hair and makeup for a Royal Caribbean cruise campaign and had to live on one of those boats for 2 weeks.
Oh, no.
Literal purgatory for me every single day. It just wasn't. I'm also not a fan of Disney or any of the mass, like the just lots of stuff happening, sensory and people overload. None of that is really me. I on vacation more so. Let's go to Europe and sit in a dark, damp cafe and drink coffee and talk about the things that we hate.
Thus, people, that is a cruise. That is a cruise for you. Though I'm glad we didn't go through with it. But did we see any ghosts during our honeymoon? Nope, we didn't. But I highly recommend staying in a haunted hotel in New Orleans. It's definitely fun.
It's definitely something I want to do. I would love to see a full spectral being, or at least something of the sort. I know earlier we were talking about ghost stories. One time, when I was living in New York City, I was living in Harlem, I sat straight up in my bed because I felt something going over my body. It felt like the inertia that happens when you're in the tide of the ocean. I sat straight up to find myself in a sea of spirits, all faceless, all, you could tell that they were people, but they were NPC characters, obviously. Just blanks on blanks, walking toward me, walking through me. And I knew I was awake because I looked around and I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. Whoa. Oh, and it just kept happening. And I thought to myself, is this the road to the other side? Did I die? Did I die in my 5-floor walk-up apartment in Harlem? Is this where I am destined to haunt? Luckily, though, it evaporated. I was still conscious the whole time, and I was left with this bizarre experience that, to my knowledge, I have never heard anyone have something that visceral before. I could literally feel the things passing through me. It was quite strange.
Aren't you used to that? To having spectral orgies, though, Bellalu Ghostly?
If you believe what you read in the truck stop bathroom, then certainly.
In Gettysburg.
In Hagerstown. If you know, you know.
She went there and she parked. What is in your bag, Bella? What would you never leave home? What are the 3 things that you would never leave home without?
SPF, number 1. I do love the solid SPF that Shiseido makes. It's SPF 50. I leave it in my bag for the rare occasion that I do venture out into the sun. I do not want to be reduced to a pile of smoldering ash. I'm not going to make any money on the street corner with ashen knees.
Yeah.
But I do love my liquid lipstick from Our Darling Cosmetics. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but a very baroque, goth, spooky makeup, female-owned, independent. Always support small business when you can.
Mm-hmm. We love them. Yes.
Usually an edible of some sort, if we're being honest. I do love the Protab pills. They are quite wonderful. Maybe a shorter joint, Anxiety is a bitch, and we live in California. So, there you go.
How do you keep up? I mean, you have the Shiseido SPF in your purse. Is that what keeps you so porcelain white like a ghost in California, the sunny state?
Well, I had the wherewithal to sell my soul at a very young age. Y'all bitches waiting to get into witchcraft and these late in life witches. You don't know what you've missed.
You could definitely do a little Zoom class, like Witchcraft 101, I guess you could say. First off, sell your soul, guys. There you go.
These aren't spirit fingers. These are spirit.
Yes.
Speaking of witches, do you think that the Disney Plus series Agatha All Along will have the same effect on the youth population that The Craft did back in the day?
Absolutely not, man. I don't think so.
And why is that?
That The Craft was a feel, and it was personal for a lot of us, especially growing up. We felt it. Plus, this was 90s grunge. This was an era of grunge, knee-high socks and stockings and angst. A ton of angst. So, yeah.
The Craft was super. I don't remember what year The Craft came out, but I remember being just at the perfect age to enjoy it and relate to it, and then also watch as the most basic poses of my generation started to worship the god that was mentioned in the movie.
My God. Yeah, that was in 97, 98. But yes, I know which one you're talking about. But they actually had a real witch.
Yes. One Miss Perusa Bulk was a practicing witch at the time.
That's true. That is very true. And weren't there a lot of weird things happening on set?
Apparently so, but who knows if that just wasn't Miss Bulk trying to raise...
True, very true.
It's so funny, with the whole cursed thingamabobs and the way that, these legends start up. And I actually did some videos about this very early in the creation of Bella, about cursed movies and things involved with it. And I know personally, I don't believe that a production can be cursed.
And it's so interesting.
It's just...
Go on.
How? Why? You know what I mean? Like, what made it? What was involved in it? Who placed the curse?
Right. Exactly. That is so funny that you mentioned this. I was reached out by Famous Ghost Show recently. Let's just say that it's called Adventures with Ghosts. Let's just put that out there. And they are doing an investigation at the Poltergeist house, the original one from 1981. And there is this discussion: was the movie Poltergeist cursed because of all the deaths that followed after, such as the death of Heather O'Rourke, Dominique Dunn, and another actor. It was the actor that he played the older man.
And the second one, yes.
Oh, yes. So he also passed as well.
And shortly after that, the Native American chieftain that was in the movie passed, I believe, as well. Not immediately, but within the amount of time that the people who believe in this type of stuff be like, no, it counts. It counts.
Yeah, it is. Exactly. If you really know, it counts. They were part of this film. Something lingered off the set and followed them and caused them to, cross that threshold right there. So I want to know what other people would think, like if there really is like a curse attached to it, or these were all individuals who were part of a film that came from very, very misfortune situations. So
it's just one of those things. I love spooky and I love the supernatural. I also do love to live in complete reality. And when we look at ratios, it's like, could this happen? Absolutely. Could it be mysterious and metaphysical? Totally. What are the odds of these two? Coincidence.
There you go.
But then again, to think of.
Then again, there's no such things as coincidences. Maybe it's just synchronicities. There we go. That's another way to think about it.
Very true. And I truly believe the metaphysical, that magic, and all of this it's science that we do not yet understand. And so oftentimes I do get asked if I believe in ghosts. And it's like, well, that's a loaded question. Do I believe that there are those cursed to spend eternity just doing the exact same activity? Not really. Do I think that time is linear? No. I do think that all things are happening all at once. And the signatures, looking at string theory, things like that. I do believe that there are dimensions outside of what we are able to perceive and understand with our limited capabilities. Me especially, very limited. However, that's not to say that things don't exist. I just don't, when you can't quite quantify things in your head and you're like, well, it might be that and it might not. Either way. Right.
That is a really good answer to that question. I mean, I always believe that we're never going to really truly know what a ghost is until we cross that threshold ourselves, and I really do believe that it could be many things. It is proven that it could be many things related to that phenomenon.
I just wouldn't want to get stuck doing something stupid. Like,
oh God, can you imagine?
I remember long, long ago in New York City, there was a very loud bang out in the street, and this was after 9/11. So, everybody was very much on alert. And it turns out like a sewer main had busted or something, and I was working in Bloomingdale's at the time, also purgatory. The bang happened, and all of the tourists ran toward the bang. All of the tourists in their I Love New York t-shirts and flip-flops ran toward the danger, and I thought to myself, if they died today, they would show up to the gates of hell in these outfits. And if I died with them, I would get included in the death statistic of stupid people that ran toward the explosion. Thinking about that, if you could choose to haunt anywhere, where would you choose?
Bryce and myself have always said that we would definitely haunt a very ritzy Las Vegas buffet. I would eat in my afterlife like no one's business, and I would definitely do it in maybe the Winds buffet, but a Las Vegas buffet is definitely a place I would definitely want to haunt. Do ghosts even have taste buds? Would they have to worry? They wouldn't even worry about calories. So here we go.
I would be so excited to scare adults wearing lobster bibs.
Can you imagine?
They go up to get a refill. It's like, do you really need more?
See, that would be terrible. That would be a shitty way to die, in a lobster bib with a little bit of lobster sauce like coming down your cheek or your chin. It's like, do you see that apparition of that guy there eating lobster? Like, he's just staring out eating lobster. Yep. He's been there for quite a while.
It's so funny too. We're always hearing about ghosts in their Victorian garb, and we never hear about the person that died from cardiac arrest at a Vegas steakhouse after ingesting 45 pounds of meat to win a competition. Honest.
Meme on our social media that has gotten 1 million hits. What? And it's I'm not even joking. This meme went viral, and it was just something I cracked up laughing at because a friend sent it to me, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna post it on our Instagram, and it got, I think right now it's at 1.3 million hits, and it's hilarious. It is. I'm looking for it right now, but you will like it. Here it is. Ghosts are gonna be crazy 100 years from now. Someone's gonna be like, I saw a little boy in the hallway doing the stanking leg, and then he just disappeared. So I think that is going to be our next generation of ghosts.
Where are all my twinks that overdosed on meth in the late 90s doing the Britney Spears choreography? Oops, she did it again. She played with your heart, got lost in the game.
And then you're there doing it with them. You're like, no. It's like this with more passion.
Well, yes, 100%.
Right?
You know what's funny? I've always said if I could choose an area to pass away in, and this happens quite often to me. You know, we both work in entertainment, and anytime I end up out shooting at the stages at Universal Studios, I'm not saying I'm tempting death. However, I do look up, and I'm like, well, if we're gonna die by an accident, let it be here. I would love to be the ghost of a makeup artist haunting Universal Studios. Could you imagine?
My God, that would be amazing. Would you? Okay, I would love to see a drag queen ghost. That is a ghost that I would definitely love to be haunted by. Cut crease, like everything. Like, did I do it right? Yes, bitch. No, but let me fix it. Perfect.
Why aren't there any drag queen ghosts?
I know. I would love to summon one if there is one. I mean, I would love to be told, you ate. Thank you.
Worse if they died in the early 2000s. Yes.
Oh, yes. That is so true. Or if you were like, what is it? One of the romantics from New York back in the, the Chris Bowery? Chris Bowery. The Romantics, I think they were called. But they were like the avant-garde drag queens. Like, they were really avant-garde. So that would be really interesting.
For a second, I thought you were talking about Lee Bowery. I was like,
I think it was him. I think it was Lee Bowery. Lee Bowery, right?
Ooh, we have a gigantic, my husband is a collector of rock and roll art, and we have a gigantic, like 6-foot tall print of Lee Bowery's face in the makeup where he has the, you know, like the black lines coming down that Boy George, you know, he played him in that play. I don't remember what it was called. Taboo. Yes. God, go me.
And there you go. Now those edibles are kicking in. Okay, we have a couple more minutes before we come to a close, unfortunately. Where can people find you, Bella? Like, where could they summon you?
Under a bridge.
There, yes, that pans out.
You know, you can find me on the tickety-tackety. You can find me on the Instagram. You'll never find me within 50 feet of a school. Please.
No, we
never.
Not there.
Hey, children, team no kids all day. I'm the one person to watch Black Phone and be like,
Yeah, this is why I do not have kids. This is like, Yeah, this is a contraceptive right here.
I don't want to buy your candy bars to support your basketball team. Kick rocks.
That's your passion. And also you have an Instagram too where people can find you as well.
Yes, it's Bellalu Ghostly across everything, and I am now actually taking, if you're familiar with my content at all, it's primarily horror lists, spoofs, a little bit of music, and lately I've been conglomerating all of the smaller list videos into long-form content and uploading it to YouTube. I do love the YouTube, after all. Long-form content, I do adore. I'm a bit older. These 12-second videos on the TikTok, they're just, I don't know.
Yeah, they're definitely for people who have the attention span of a chihuahua with ADD. I feel like that at times when I'm on TikTok. It's like, wow, that was just 10 seconds. What's the next one? 5 seconds.
And then before you know it, 2 hours have passed and you're like, I am too old for this.
I am. I really am. That would be a wrongful death right there. Like she died watching 10-second TikToks. Yeah. Holding her.
You know what I found funny since the start of social media is how many people have died from selfie sticks. Can you imagine that ghost? What an idiot. Like, have you seen the ghost of Barbara? Yes, she fell off a cliff trying to take a selfie for her 12 Instagram followers.
Yes. She's the one holding the stick. Sometimes you just see a floating stick. Yes.
That should have been one of the ghosts in the new Beetlejuice movie. Someone passed by a selfie stick.
She died. Where? Grand Canyon. But how? Selfie stick.
Yes, these new age deaths. You know, I believe it was 2 years ago. Someone died by impaling themselves on a metal straw for the first time. Captain Janet would not approve.
I saw that. That is scary. And I had purchased those straws and I threw them away. I'm like, no.
I have one ready to.
She's ready. Watch. See another death right here. Death by metal straw. Bellalu Ghostly.
Death by podcast.
I know.
Can you imagine? The last piece of art you create is a podcast interview.
Is a podcast.
Where would I even haunt? Spotify?
Yeah, you haunt Spotify, Riverside, Instagram, TikTok. Yes. Imagine you're just the 10-second ghost that comes in and out. But at least you come. So there you go.
I would scroll from side to side, too, to really freak people out. It wouldn't be like...
There you have it. Well, thank you so much, Bellalu Ghostly. And I know for a fact we're going to be seeing a lot of you live somewhere, right? You do a lot of stuff around the city, don't you? Or are you going to? You're gearing up for it, huh?
Yes, lots of just very interesting things. And if you do live in the greater Los Angeles area, just to, plug a personal thing, I am the founder and president of a nonprofit called I Wore Lipstick. On Tuesday, November 19th, we will be holding our annual Drag Bingo fundraiser at Hamburger Mary's in West Hollywood. If you'd like to come, do make a reservation, as we do tend to sell it out. Your horror whore is a bit popular with the boys in West Hollywood, as they say. Anyway, thank you so much for having me. This has been a positively marvelous experience, and I look forward to the next time we can meet.
Yes, it will be in the ghost hunt.
It's
yeah, let's do that.
I was so excited that you responded to that.
Oh, yes. Or it could be a very she Las Vegas buffet. I don't know. Do both.
I do want to go to that haunted museum in Vegas.
We'll go together. I have yet to go. We'll go together.
Yes, I want to go and harass the haunted things, like tapping on them as if they're kittens in a pet store.
Just don't bring a selfie stick, okay?
Like our Ed and Lorraine here.
She was summoning Ed and Lorraine, and then something happened with the stick.
I know we're about to end, but can you imagine someone summoning Ed and Lorraine Warren on a Ouija board? I would pay for that. Conjuring 12.
Ed and Lorraine, is there such thing as ghosts? Yes, bitch. Like, I'm right here.
Ed's like, do you got $1?
Truth. That is so true. We summoned Ed and Lorraine Warren via the Ouija board, and I had to give him my Venmo.
It's like, no, we do not want your stupid paintings. Get away from our house.
Can you at least buy a book? Yes. There you go. Oh, Bella, thank you so much once again, guys. And keep an eye out for her, everyone listening, because if you do live in and around the LA area, we'll be seeing a lot of her very shortly. And I know that we have some plans working together. They're brewing in my little cauldron here. So definitely look out for that. And we're definitely planning some more live shows. So Bella would definitely be partaking in those shows in the future. We definitely want to get her involved. Thank you once again, Bella, so much. Any last words before we depart?
Don't pregame before you go to a bar. It does not save you any money, and you'll wind out blacked out by the end of the night.
And you might go home with a ghost. There you go. The selfie stick. All right. Thank you so much, Bella.
Have a lovely evening, darlings. Good night.